Good morning. Welcome to the DFS Army YouTube channel. I am Razzle11, and you can find me on Twitter at Razzle11Grinds. Good to take a look at some pitching for today, Tuesday the 13th. We have a 14-game main slate because for some reason Detroit wants to start at 5:40 Central Time, which removes Spencer Strider from the obvious play on the day. Plenty of intriguing games, but I don't know. There's some spots that are questionable in that they can very much go either way. One spot with a lot of weather is Chicago. From what I've been reading early this morning, there's a good chance that this game does not happen tonight. But let's take a look here. We get Hunter Brown against Washington. Brown has been pretty good. The last couple starts, not so great, but he was strong before that against Oakland, against the White Sox, dominated Tampa Bay, Minnesota, Texas. So he's dominated both terrible teams and elite teams so far this year. Strikeouts have come down a little bit. Did get 2 extra days of rest leading up to this start. I think that will do him very well. I believe he might be the largest favorite on the slate. Let me take a look. He's sitting at minus 267 right now, which is the largest favorite. So, Brown certainly a strong option. Zach Wheeler probably not going to be in my pool. Did struggle with Arizona the first time he faced them. Has been knocked around a bit on the road, even though his K numbers are much better on the road. Kind of been alternating strong starts and bad starts, but I mean when he's on, he looks dominant again. But I'm just not sure that I want to pick on Arizona, who now has the best record in the National League, which probably surprises many. But I think I'm going to end up making the decision to fade him. Obviously, that could change as the day goes on. As the Arizona lineup gets posted, it might make my decision for me. But right now, the plan is to fade Zach Wheeler. Corbin Burns starting to pitch better. Great sign. 8 innings on just 96 pitches in his last time out. Extra day of rest. Taking on a Minnesota team that's striking out a ton. His underlying numbers on the road have been better than at home. K numbers are a little down, but I think that goes with the start of the season. They've kind of picked up recently to numbers that we expect to see out of him. And like I said, Minnesota striking out a ton. Game has a total of just 7.5, so it should be a pretty solid pitchers duel between Burns and Pablo Lopez. Going down to Lopez here. He's been atrocious in Minnesota, which kind of sucks, but he's coming off of a great start against an elite Tampa Bay squad after he had struggled for a few starts. I think he's in a great spot. I just don't think I can trust him as much as somebody like Burns, even though Lopez is a slight favorite in the game. Scherzer favored against the Yankees. Minus 160 favorite. It's a pretty strong favorite. His strikeout numbers have crept back up, coming off a rough start, but it was against Atlanta. Kind of give him passes, when pitchers are taking on teams like Atlanta, like Tampa Bay, like Texas right now, Arizona, even the Dodgers. Rough performances are kind of expected in some of those, but prior to that, he was great since returning from his suspension. The Yankees lineup is definitely a ton weaker without Judge. Give me some Scherzer on this slate. Edward Cabrera dealt with a blister his last time out, um, which is a little worrisome. But an extra day of rest, we should see a pretty good version of Edward Cabrera. I like the ability and I like the upside. He's been pretty bad on the road, though. I hate those metrics. Uh, the overall Seattle lineup hasn't been overly dangerous, except for last night against Luzardo when he made a couple of mistakes and cost me plenty of money. George Kirby in that same game. Kirby's going to be the preferred, obviously, of the two. Seattle a minus 155 favorite right now. Issue is Kirby hasn't looked great in multiple starts recently. He did dominate the Yankees, which is great to see. Uh, it's just a great spot against this Miami offense, who really lacks any kind of power. He's lit up by Pittsburgh, but he gave up 4 home runs in that. I just don't see him giving up 4 home runs to the Marlins. Would like to see his K numbers bounce back, but at 9,300, I think he's a very strong option for us. Chris Bassett hasn't been as good on the road, but uh, you know, over his last or 2 out of his last three road starts have been 2 earned or less. Throwing the ball really well. Again, an extra day of rest for Bassett too, which it's nice to see from some of these pitchers at this point in the season. You get to sneak in that extra day of rest, can help them recover quite quickly. Uh, I think he's a slight favorite here. Yeah, he's a minus 135 favorite in Baltimore. I'm interested. That's 7 pitchers right away. So there's going to be some work to be done to kind of trim the player pool or pitcher pool as the day goes on. As I dig into more numbers and go from there. Alex Cobb hasn't been great on the road, but did dominate the Cardinals with a complete game shutout. Cardinals offense isn't exactly clicking right now, so Cobb is going to be on that fringe list for me. Tanner Bibby going to be on that fringe list as well. I've been impressed by him, during his rookie year. Hasn't really shown a ton of upside recently. Uh, K numbers are kind of all over the place, but San Diego has definitely underperformed. Um, San Diego is a minus 170 favorite, but the game has a total of just 7.5. Uh, telling me that Bibby probably is in for a decent outing. Gonsolin, I don't really love playing Tony Gonsolin, but he's just not allowing a ton of hits. It's been better at home. The White Sox aren't all that dangerous overall. He's a minus 210 favorite. Maybe I have to consider him, but I have a feeling he's going to be one of the first guys I remove from my pool. I'm just not excited to play somebody like Gonsolin. Flaherty has really figured it out. Walks still are an issue, but he's getting it done right now. So, the one worry is he's been pretty bad at home, which, I think should normalize. I have to look into his career to see how he's thrown in St. Louis, but uh, he's thrown over 100 pitches in every start. So he's healthy. It's just a matter of controlling walks and all that. But he shut down the major's top scoring offense in Texas. Struggled a bit against LA, which, like I said earlier, isn't something we need to hold against somebody. San Francisco does have plenty of power from the left side, so there's some worry there. But I think he just has greater upside than somebody like Gonsolin or even Bibby. Might even have more upside than Cobb. I'm not sure. Obviously, Cobb threw that complete game shutout against St. Louis already, so maybe that's not the case. But we have a range here of guys that are kind of on the fringe that I do have some interest in, but I just might not get there. Musgrove is another one. Minus 170 favorite, pretty strong. Hasn't been great at home this year, but I believe his numbers last year were extremely strong at home. So I would expect these numbers to turn around a bit. 1 run or less in 3 straight starts, which is really intriguing for me. Gets 2 extra days of rest coming into this one. which is great to see because he did jump up to over 100 pitches in his last start. I am definitely interested, and he probably moves ahead of the guys right here in this range. He'd probably be the top of that range for me. Luis Severino at 7,100 is really intriguing. This right here is very worrisome. 6 home runs allowed over his last two starts. Uh, I don't really, I mean, I hate seeing that. So, but prior to that, he was solid in his first two starts. I think the Mets lineup is just a ton weaker without Alonso. I want to think that Severino can bounce back and figure it out, but I'm really hesitant right now. That those 6 home runs are really worrisome, um, given that something could be wrong with him from a health standpoint uh, or mechanic standpoint. But he didn't get an extra day off. Uh, yeah, he last pitched on the 8th, so it's a normal rest. So it's not like he could take an extra day or two to straighten out mechanics. So there's some worry there, but the upside at 7,100 is really intriguing. Not really interested in down here. Not going to go Davies against Philadelphia. Chirinos against Oakland, who apparently will never lose a game again. Coming off a strong performance against the Twins, I thought he'd pick up a few more strikeouts against that Minnesota offense, but uh, he's got nasty stuff. I just would love to see the strikeouts tick up a little bit. He may start it traditionally, or they might go with an opener, but he would be expected as the long reliever. Certainly don't mind him at all. Cutter Crawford, I want to like him because of taking on Colorado. My worry is, you know, what's his pitch count going to be? I would guess he throws 70 to 75, um, but he hasn't thrown more than 3 innings since the end of April. Looking at a month and a half ago, so I think I just would rather use Chirinos than Crawford, but Crawford's at least intriguing enough for me. So there we have it. There are quite a few, I guess, fringe plays for us outside of the main guys at the top. As you can tell from a lot of these videos, I definitely prefer spending on pitching. Their their returns are a lot more predictable than bats, even the elite price bats, um, and we can generally find some cheaper bats that perform to the same level as the elite price bats on any given night. We don't really get that in the pitching department, so that's kind of why I'm focusing a lot up here. And then these guys end up on my fringe list. But there we have it. There's that first look. If you enjoy what I bring to you, please hit that like button, hit the subscribe button, turn the notification bell, get that alert anytime we drop videos here at DFS Army. And if you want to join us, I'll put links in the description below. You can use promo code RAZ, it's R-A-Z, for 10% off your monthly membership. You can try Summer 50 for 50% off your first month. I haven't been told of whether that is still active or not. And as always, best of luck, everybody.